Hey there, guys. This is Drew Badger, the world's #1 English fluency guide, and I am here with a brand new drone. A drone on a camera, or I guess a camera on a drone, I should say. And it's got kind of flying up around here. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't a drone at all. I'm just holding on to a camera and pointing it out my window. I live on the 11th floor, and I thought I would take this opportunity just to do something a little bit different for this advanced listening practice lesson. So you'll forgive me if you can hear the sounds of the street. We've got cars and trucks and things like that passing by. But remember that when you're in an actual conversation, it won't always be able to, or I guess it won't always be easy to hear things. So as usual, if you're new to this series, I'd appreciate it, or probably you would appreciate it, if you'd go back and watch some of the previous lessons first so you can get used to the sound of my voice, because I'll be speaking much more quickly in this lesson, and it'll be even more difficult because I won't be showing my face. You just get to see, kind of showing things around. We've got the camera and just kind of showing you my neighborhood, because I wanted to talk about, a little bit about where I live and, something about myself that, hopefully it doesn't get too loud with trucks and things going by. Anyway, if you're ready to pursue and continue to go on with the lesson, let's get started. I wanted to talk about just kind of something that's, I guess connected with the season, and that's the weather that's not so nice. Now, it's actually getting a little bit clearer. As you can see, we're getting some kind of bluer skies coming through here, but for most of the past couple of days, it hasn't been very nice. The weather's actually been crap, I should say. It's been not rainy, but here in Nagasaki we get, I guess the winters are just not so fun. And you can see, there's some green on the trees left as it's fairly, it's kind of a tropical place. But in the wintertime, it still gets kind of cold and gray. And as, I guess just a personality thing for myself, one of the things that I guess it's been maybe, a blessing and a curse. This is a really great English phrase to talk about being blessed by something, and it just means, you're receiving something nice, or to be cursed means, something evil or awful has been put upon you that makes your life more difficult. So to say that something is a blessing and a curse, you can usually talk about having something that's both good and bad at the same time. So something that's been a blessing and a curse in my life is my understanding of space. And since I'm such a big fan of interior design and exterior design, and I love, organizing spaces and keeping things neat and clean and tidy, and it's been a good thing because it's, helped me control my environments and do lots of interesting things like garden design and, meet different people. And actually, I remember when I was younger, I used to organize the rooms. Like I would clean my friends' rooms, if you can believe that. That's pretty funny. I actually really just enjoyed doing that. I would rearrange my room, and I really have a lot of fun just doing different things with different spaces and seeing what was possible. But the downside of that is that I'm also really affected by the places I'm in. So if the weather isn't particularly nice, then I'm also not in a particularly good mood. And I don't get angry or anything, but, I just notice a genuine sense of, kind of sadness and, just a little bit of, you could call it melancholy. I'm just not really feeling, the good Japanese word that a lot of my friends actually use out here that are non-Japanese people is genki, Genki. So this is not an English word, but it's just a word in Japanese, genki, that just means energetic. So feeling lively and energetic and, happy about life, that kind of thing. So people talk about feeling genki all the time and, wanting to feel excited and motivated and eager to, do different things. So one of the things that happens to me, and this is kind of a weird thing, I'm going to revealing about myself, I guess, but usually around dusk, so this is usually maybe not dusk, it's more about the evening. Dusk is usually when the sun is finally going down, kind of around that time, but usually around 5 or 6 o'clock at night, I always feel kind of a little bit sad. And I don't know why that is. I think it's maybe just the light or the environment or something like that. And this has been everywhere. It doesn't really matter where I'm in, what city or town or part of the earth or, wherever it is I happen to be. But it's just one of those things that when the environment is not so great, then it kind of affects me. So I've had to also develop a pretty strong sense of being able to control the way I feel, after having a certain environment that's controlling me in a certain way. I have to think about you know, what's the best way to change that so I can not have the environment control me all the time, or figure out some way that I can change my environment. Now, right now in my town, my little section of Nagasaki that I'm living in, you can actually see this is a park that I go to sometimes, and all these trees over here, if you've seen some of my previous videos, these are all cherry blossoms right here. And these things, they get nice and bright pink in the springtime, and I'll probably have to make another video. Right now it is the beginning of January, so it's really cold, and you know, again, it's just not so nice outside. But like I was saying before, we still have a little bit of blue sky coming up, kind of breaking through the clouds a little bit. But in this environment, I really have to kind of fight extra hard and imagine myself, you know, being on a beach, or think about, you know, what I can do to try to make my environment feel better, or make myself feel better in this environment. But this is the kind of important thing. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because it really connects to fluency. And a lot of people talk about being in a particular place, and, well, I guess they can't, you know, find a native speaker to practice with because they don't live in a place where there are native speakers, or, you know, they have some other excuse about why they can't do this or why they can't do that. And I could make a similar excuse and say that, well, because it's winter time and I'm not relaxing on a beach on my own tropical island at the moment, that I must not be able to, you know, correct that and change my behavior and get in a better mood. So let's just imagine right here, this is a very concrete, so concrete, just like the concrete on the ground, a concrete example of two different people being in the same environment but thinking about it in a different way. So if I were feeling sad or letting the kind of melancholiness get to me, you know, I could say that it's the environment or, you know, something else, but really it's me. I'm the one making the decision to, you know, feel sad or to not do something about that. So while I'm scanning around here, you can kind of see this is a regular, kind of an every, I don't know, this is like little town in Japan here. It could be anywhere in Japan. It's, you know, fairly similar to a lot of little towns in other parts of the world, I imagine. Same thing in America. You've got maybe a few little stores like this. This is an Erena over here. That's the name of this grocery store. And you've got like a drugstore over here, and you got a little like a real estate place. You got other little shops, but there really isn't much in my town. You can see actually there's just like a train station and a little park and little schools, but it's mostly just, you know, places where people live. So this is a bed town, and that just means that people will live here and then commute to actually where they're going to be working. So it could be, you know, a city north of here or south of here or something like that, but that's just how my town is. So while I'm sitting here, and if I was, you know, trying to feel sad or thinking I was sad and thinking that I couldn't really do much about my environment, you can also take a look at this park over here. Now, these kids down here are in the same environment I am, but they're thinking about it in a different way. And they're, you know, kids are coming down to the park and enjoying themselves. And a lot of kids come down to this little gazebo over here and they play cards, or they, you know, like little card games that they get. Or, you know, they'll play video games or something. And this is you know, this isn't even like a very amazing park, but it's a pretty popular place for, you know, kids to come and hang out, and people to come, like parents and their kids to come, you know, throw a baseball around or kick a soccer ball or something like that. But in the same way that one person could be sad in an environment, some other people could choose to do something and not be sad in that same environment. And what I'd like you to remember about fluency is that even if you're living in a country where you think you can't meet native speakers, like you could be sitting at home thinking, oh, you know, I live in this country and there's no native English speakers around, how am I going to practice? What you have to remember is that there are other people in your same country or city or town or even area that are also finding ways to practice with native speakers. So at the end of the day, you know, and this is a great phrase here, at the end of the day, it just means when all is said and done. There's another great phrase. These are just talking about, you know, after we've thought about everything, after everything has happened, we're going to make a final decision, or there's a final outcome about something. When all is said and done, you are the one that makes the decision about how you react to things or whether you get fluent or anything else. So when you're thinking about, you know, making decisions about how do you know, get fluent, or how you think about practicing with people, or, you know, even outside of fluency, like you're thinking about maybe, I don't know, I guess like trying to get wealthy or healthy or find a relationship or, you know, anything like that. all of these things are things that are under your control, and this is what we talked about in the previous episode of this series, talking about the first rule of fluency. And the first rule of fluency, again, if you didn't listen to that one or if you didn't watch that video, is to take responsibility for how you learn. So you take responsibility for everything in your life, and the more you do that, the more you decide and the more you actually start to see, the results that you want or the actual results you can achieve. But you just have to decide that that's what you want to do first. Anyway, I thought, sharing this with you would also be a great way to help me even feel better. So this is me again deciding to do something instead of just sitting here and thinking, well, I'm not going to be so happy or ganky about where I am. I'm just going to feel sad or feel kind of a little bit down or depressed or something like that. I really want to feel excited, and so I decide to change myself first, and because of that I can change my environment. And I'll probably see pretty soon, maybe we'll get some sun shining through these clouds, and I can choose to focus on maybe the part of the clouds that are maybe a little bit darker, or I can choose to focus on the part of the sky that are having a little bit of blue coming through over there. So there's always different ways of looking at things, but it depends on you and what you're deciding to do. So it's all about your responsibility. So remember that first rule of fluency, and if you're thinking you're not in a great environment, then either change your environment or change the way you think about it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I look forward to seeing you in the next one once this gets over 10,000 views. We've got some interesting things coming up in future videos, and I look forward to seeing you in those as well. Anyway, sorry I didn't appear in the video, but again, I'm trying to do something that's a little bit more challenging for people, and it's much more difficult when you can't actually see my face. But hopefully you enjoyed this video nonetheless. Please like the video if you did enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye. To continue learning, click on the link in this video to download Speak English Naturally, our free guide to speaking and sounding like a native English speaker. The guide reveals the 3 most important kinds of conversational English you must learn if you want to sound native, and will help you experience instant improvement in your fluency and speaking confidence. To download your free guide on a mobile device, click on the link in the upper right of this video. To download your free guide from a computer, click on the link in the lower right of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the guide.